In the final installment of our three-part series on the Killearn Tavern, we sit down with Dr. Jamie Turndorf and learn a little bit more about the woman behind the restoration and behind the mic on her nationally acclaimed radio program, Ask Dr. Love. You may recall the uncanny ability Dr. Turndorf has for seeing into the past.
My husband, I see this old colonial tavern down a tree-lined drive on a dirt road that was the main thoroughfare in the 1700s, but got diverted by a more modern road.
Well, she also believes she has an ability to see into the future.
They say that I've been told that my ministry, my mission of connecting souls was born in the crib. I was born 3 months early. And I literally spent the first 3 months in a preemie nursery. And a psychic said to me that you decided to make it your mission to connect souls because you didn't want anybody to suffer the pain that you felt of disconnection. And then, of course, as most shrinks come from crazy families, you know, I had already earned my honorary doctorate in conflict resolution. You know, I had a PhD when I was in diapers. I think I spell it P-E-E-H-D, right? Because I was mediating my parents' fights. So that was the beginning. And then in the early 80s, I had a premonition that I was going to be bringing relationship advice over computers. Now this was 15 years before the internet was born, but I have this way of seeing things before they happen. So the day that the internet was born, somebody said to me, you see, the internet is here, you know, and we can connect to the world like a web over computers. And I said, that's how I'm going to bring relationship advice over the computer, through the internet. So I was the first relationship advice site on the web, and I've been doing it ever since.
Dr. Turndorf uses this gift to console those in relationship conflict, but took it a step further to help people through the grief of losing a loved one after she lost her husband in a freak accident, dying of a bee sting while the two were vacationing in Italy.
So here I am, he dies of the bee sting, and I am hysterical because he's ripped from me. I go back to the hotel room, and I am lying in the bed, shaking and trembling, and Charlie, I feel his hand stroke the entire length of my spine. I sit bolt upright because I know what I felt. I'm not imagining this. I look over my shoulder. He's not there physically, but I know he's there. This was the beginning of his astonishing manifestations, often in front of witnesses, because he wanted to prove to me we don't die, and our relationships don't end in death. So the first night I get back from Italy, I'm lying in the bed, and again I'm crying. I'm alone in this house, and I'm without him, and I suddenly hear him quoting a passage to me. I don't know what this passage is. The next day I go to his priest and I say to the priest, Jean's been speaking to me. So the priest raises his eyebrow like, yo, this bitch has rounded the bend. She's lost. You know, this is how he's looking at me. But then I tell him what Jean said. He goes white. He crosses himself. He says, dear Lord, Jamie, at first I didn't believe that Jean was speaking to you, but I do now, because you are quoting an obscure biblical passage from the Communion of Saints. Like I would know? I never read the Bible. Jean and I didn't talk about religion. It took me a year to understand why Jean chose to quote that biblical passage to me. He was giving me the foundation of what would become my new grief therapy method. The Communion of Saints says that your loved ones in spirit are one with or in communion with God and the saints. And since we're supposed to stay in communion and communication with God and the saints, he was showing me that the Bible is telling us we are supposed to stay in communion and communication with our loved ones in spirit because they're one with God and the saints. So he's saying to me, everything we've been told about the afterlife is dead wrong. Heaven is a state, not a place. Heaven is all around you. Heaven is here and now. And what this means is you are not supposed to live in an emotional wasteland waiting until you die to be reunited with loved ones in spirit. You're supposed to reconnect now because heaven is now. And he said death is an illusion. There's a very thin veil between the realm where we are and the realm where I am. The veil is thinner than you can ever imagine. I'm standing right here. So the point is, we're supposed to reconnect. So Love Never Dies is my passion to let people hear my story. And when they hear the story of the way he's made his presence known, it's beyond belief. So I show you how to reconnect And then I take it a step farther, because as a shrink, I know that Western grief therapy gives us no way of making peace with those who have passed. And who doesn't have some unfinished business with somebody who's passed? So I take my conflict resolution method, as presented in my first Hay House book, Kiss Your Fights Goodbye, and I bring it to the world of after-death communication, and I show you not only how to reconnect, but also how to make peace. And my method is bringing such peace and healing worldwide. I'm so thrilled and excited. It's transforming grief to joy, the instant healing of unfinished business. So that's Love Never Dies, and my life with Jean in spirit.
What is the great satisfaction that you get out of what you do?
You know, a woman last week, I'm so angry with my father. He said terrible things to me. I never could forgive him. So I put her in a trance on the radio show. And the point of Love Never Dies is you don't need a channeler, a medium, or a psychic. You can reconnect yourself. All this is energetic communication. And we all energetically communicate all the time. We're doing it. You know, like you park at a red light, right? And you look over at the driver in the neighboring car, and that driver looks back at you because he felt the energetic frequency of your gaze. Energetic communication. Twins. I know my twin's in trouble or in pain. Energetic communication. So I say, we're born with the apparatus. You just have to learn how to turn on the apparatus, tune in to another channel or frequency. So on the radio show, I show her how to do this. Put her in a trance. She tunes in. She starts to talk to him, and I hear what he says, but I don't say it. And I say, do you hear what he's saying? And she says exactly what I heard. And she cries, and she comes out of it, and she says, I'm in peace. I am not mad at him anymore. I'm in peace. I watched her instantly heal.
What would you say would be the secret to your success?
Don't give up. And also you have to have a passion. Everybody who's successful comes with some kind of a passion. Our deepest wound is the thing that really drives us. It gives us a passion. Like I said, coming from a crazy family, having lived with that horrible abandonment. So you have a passion that drives you. You need that passion to succeed. Otherwise, when you meet the inevitable failures and setbacks, you crumble. But if you have a passion, it drives you past the failures. And all successful people have had so many failures along the way, and I'm no exception.